Early signs of dementia. Most seniors ignore many older adults joke about senior moments, walking into a room and forgetting why or misplacing the car keys. But deep down, the fear of dementia looms large. Alzheimer's disease and related dementias are among the most feared health issues for seniors. In fact, about 1 in 9 people over the age of 65 has Alzheimer's dementia. And in one survey, 31% of Americans named Alzheimer's as the illness they most dread, even more than cancer or heart disease. This fear often causes people to deny or downplay early warning signs. As a geriatric specialist, I've seen families explain away symptoms for too long, hoping it's just normal aging. But knowledge is power, and recognizing the early signs of dementia can make a world of difference. Before we dive into those signs, let's clarify what dementia actually is and how it differs from normal age-related forgetfulness. What is dementia and what is normal memory loss? Dementia is not a specific disease. It's an umbrella term for a set of symptoms affecting memory, thinking, and social abilities severely enough to interfere with daily life. There are different types of dementia, including Alzheimer's disease, vascular dementia, Lewy body dementia, and others, but they all involve progressive cognitive decline. Alzheimer's disease is the most common form of dementia, accounting for an estimated 60–80% of cases. Importantly, dementia is not a normal part of aging. As we get older, it's common to occasionally forget a name or an appointment, and then remember it later. That kind of momentary lapse is usually normal. In normal aging, a person might need reading glasses or take a bit longer to learn new technology, but they can still manage their daily life independently. By contrast, dementia involves changes that are more frequent and disruptive. For example, a typical older person might misplace their glasses occasionally, but someone with dementia might put the glasses in an odd place, like the freezer, and be unable to retrace their steps to find them, or even forget they wear glasses at all. Normal aging might mean sometimes searching for the right word, whereas dementia can cause frequent pauses and trouble following entire conversations. The key difference is the severity and consistency of the cognitive problems. Dementia symptoms gradually worsen over time. It might start subtly, so subtly that seniors and their loved ones often miss the early clues or attribute them to stress or aging. Let's talk about those early signs in detail, because catching them early can lead to earlier evaluation and care. Early signs of dementia often overlooked. What are the red flags? Here are several early warning signs of dementia that many seniors and their families tend to ignore or dismiss. If you notice these in yourself or an older loved one, pay close attention. One sign alone doesn't mean someone has dementia, but if you see multiple signs consistently, it's worth getting a medical evaluation. 1. Memory loss that disrupts daily life. This is one of the most common early signs. It goes beyond occasionally forgetting things. It's memory loss that impacts day-to-day living. For example, a person might forget recently learned information and ask the same questions repeatedly, not remembering that they already asked and were answered. They might rely increasingly on memory aids, like reminder notes or smartphone alerts, or family members for things they used to handle easily on their own. Think of a grandmother who always managed the family birthdays, but now keeps forgetting that a birthday is coming up, or asks for the same details about an upcoming event over and over. When memory lapses start to disrupt daily routines or responsibilities, it's a warning sign. In contrast, a typical age-related lapse might be forgetting an appointment once in a while, but remembering it later. It's the frequency and impact of the forgetfulness that signals something more serious may be going on. 2. Challenges in planning or solving problems. Another early indicator is difficulty with tasks that require concentration, planning, or problem solving, especially tasks that used to be second nature. For instance, someone might struggle to follow a familiar recipe or keep track of monthly bills when they never had trouble managing these before. They may have trouble focusing on a project or take much longer to do it than they used to. A retiree who was once an accountant, for example, help with tricky new gadgets or software now and then. But people with early dementia often struggle with tasks they have done hundreds of times. This can show up in many ways: getting lost while driving in a well-known neighborhood, having trouble operating the television or microwave, or forgetting the rules of a favorite. Imagine a once avid cook who suddenly can't remember the steps of a recipe she's made by heart for years, or a lifelong churchgoer who finds themselves confused about the order of service. These slip-ups often get attributed to stress or fatigue at first, but when someone consistently has trouble with familiar tasks at home, at work, or in leisure activities, things they used to do without a hitch, it may point to early dementia. Often, the person may start avoiding these tasks out of frustration or embarrassment. 4. Confusion with time or place. A person with early dementia might lose track of dates, seasons, and the passage of time. They may forget what day it is, or repeatedly ask questions about, "What time is it now?" even after being answered. They can also become disoriented in unfamiliar places, sometimes even in familiar ones, not remembering how they got somewhere or why they are there. For example, an elderly man might drive to a store and then sit in the parking lot confused about why he came or what time of day it is. With normal aging, people might get momentarily confused about the day of the week, but figure it out later. What's different with dementia is the persistent and increasing disorientation. The person might need frequent reminders about dates and may become anxious or upset when they feel lost. If episodes of confusion about time or place are happening more often, don't ignore them. 5. New problems with words in speaking or writing. Struggling to find the right words is another sign. We all blank on a word occasionally, but dementia can cause someone to forget simple words or use unusual terms, making their speech or writing hard to follow. They might stop in the middle of a conversation and have no idea how to continue, or they might repeat themselves a lot. Conversation becomes challenging. The person might withdraw or let others talk for them to hide the difficulty. For example, they might call a watch a hand clock because they can't recall the word. A typical older adult might occasionally have trouble finding the exact word, but can carry on the conversation. In early dementia, these word-finding problems and verbal gaps happen more frequently and are noticeable to friends and family. If you notice someone often grasping for common words or frequently losing their train of thought mid-sentence, pay attention to that pattern. 6. Misplacing things and losing the ability to retrace steps. Everyone misplaces keys or a wallet sometimes. Usually, if we retrace our steps, we can find the missing item. A person with dementia, however, may put things in unusual places and be unable to go back over their steps to find them. They might place their cell phone in the refrigerator or the sugar bowl and genuinely not remember doing so. When the item is missing, they can't think logically about where it might be. This can even lead to accusations that others stole the item, because from their perspective, it truly disappeared. For example, if Grandpa routinely finds his glasses in odd spots, say inside a shoe or in the garage, and this is happening more and more, it's a red flag. By contrast, a normal aging lapse would be misplacing something occasionally, but then finding it after some searching or by retracing steps. The key difference is that a person with early dementia will misplace items frequently and find it increasingly hard to locate them or remember what they did. Their short-term memory is impaired enough that even with hints, they struggle to recall the last use of the lost item. 7. Decreased or poor judgment. Changes in judgment or decision-making can also signal early dementia. This isn't about making a bad decision once in a while. It's a consistent pattern of questionable decisions or an inability to evaluate situations. One common example is with money. The person might start giving away large sums to telemarketers or charities without understanding the consequences, or fall for scams that they would normally recognize as fraud. They may also pay less attention to personal grooming or cleanliness. Perhaps Grandma, who was always meticulous about paying bills, begins neglecting them or making odd financial choices. In normal aging, an occasional lapse in judgment, like forgetting to change the car's oil on time, can happen. But with dementia, poor judgment occurs more frequently and can sometimes endanger the person or their finances. Family members often notice this when a normally cautious loved one starts acting in uncharacteristic ways, trusting strangers, spending money recklessly, or failing to notice something obviously wrong, like spoiled food in the fridge. A pattern of impaired judgment or decisions that just don't make sense may be an early sign. A. Withdrawal from work or social activities. Early dementia can make social situations and complex mental engagement much harder, leading people to pull back from hobbies, social gatherings, or projects they used to. The person might start skipping social activities or hobbies they used to love, perhaps dropping out of their weekly card game or avoiding church gatherings because it's getting harder for them to follow the conversation or keep up with what's happening. They may retreat to avoid the stress or embarrassment of their increasing difficulties. For example, a once enthusiastic volunteer might suddenly resign from their position, or a regular at the weekly bingo night may stop attending without explanation. Depression can also cause someone to withdraw socially, so it's important to consider that too. However, when a formerly active and engaged person becomes increasingly isolated alongside memory or thinking issues, it could be a sign of early cognitive decline. 9. Changes in mood and personality. Finally, be mindful of changes in mood and personality. Individuals with dementia may become unusually confused, suspicious, depressed, or anxious. They can get upset over things that never bothered them before, or become fearful and withdrawn. For instance, a once friendly, easygoing person might grow irritable or have sudden angry outbursts, and someone who was outgoing might become apathetic or nervous. Such personality shifts, especially when combined with memory problems, are strong indicators of a possible dementia process. The person might also become easily upset when out of their comfort zone or act suspicious about the intentions of others. These emotional changes often accompany the cognitive symptoms and can be very distressing for both the individual and their family. These are some of the most common early signs of dementia. They often start out subtle. A spouse or child might sense something is off, but can't quite put a finger on it. Sometimes months or years go by before the pattern becomes clear, especially if the person is adept at covering up their difficulties. Many seniors quietly worry about their forgetfulness. An older woman gazes out of the window, deep in thought, reflecting the quiet anxiety that often accompanies memory lapses. They might dismiss these early warning signs of dementia until the symptoms can no longer be ignored. If you've recognized several of these warning signs in yourself or someone you love, what should you do? It's time to talk about why early detection matters so much and what steps to take next. Why early detection matters. It's natural to feel uneasy or afraid when noticing these signs. Some people might avoid seeing a doctor because they're scared of a diagnosis, or they assume nothing can be done. However, there are compelling reasons not to delay. Early detection of dementia can make a significant difference in the course of the illness and quality of life for both the individual and their family. First, memory troubles and confusion don't always mean dementia. There are a number of medical conditions that can cause dementia-like symptoms, but are treatable or even reversible if caught early. For example, depression, vitamin B12 deficiency, thyroid problems, certain infections, sleep apnea, or side effects from medications can all impair memory and thinking. I've had patients who worried they had Alzheimer's, but we discovered their symptoms were due to something like a vitamin deficiency or an adverse reaction to a medication, and once treated, their cognition improved. Getting evaluated early means you might uncover one of these treatable issues. Identifying a reversible cause of memory problems enables you to get the right treatment and potentially return to normal function. Even if the diagnosis turns out to be Alzheimer's or another dementia, early diagnosis and treatment can help slow the disease's progression and allow a person and their loved ones to plan for the future. There are medications available, and more in development, that can modestly improve symptoms or slow decline in the early stages of Alzheimer's. These treatments are usually more effective when started earlier in the disease process, before significant brain changes have occurred. Beyond medications, early diagnosis also opens the door to clinical trials and research interventions that one might qualify for. Equally important, knowing what's going on gives everyone involved more time to prepare. With an early diagnosis, individuals and families can make important decisions about care, finances, and legal matters while the person is still capable of participating. For instance, your loved one can express their wishes for future medical care through advance directives, designate a power of attorney, organize their finances, and discuss living arrangements before the disease progresses. This planning brings a sense of control and ensures the person's voice is heard regarding their future. It also prevents crises. Instead of reacting in panic to a sudden serious decline, the family will have a roadmap ready. As hard as it is to receive a dementia diagnosis, some people actually feel a sense of relief once they know what's wrong. It validates that the changes they were experiencing are real and medical, not just in their head. It can also reduce the stress of not knowing what's happening. On the other hand, ignoring the signs or delaying diagnosis has downsides. Without a diagnosis, the person isn't getting proper treatment or support, and the family might not know how to help. Problems can snowball. For example, confusion and poor judgment might lead to accidents or financial trouble, and loved ones may grow frustrated without understanding the cause. In short, missing an early diagnosis can lead to safety risks and unnecessary difficulties, while knowing what's happening allows everyone to get the right help and handle things more compassionately. If you notice changes in yourself or a loved one, it is important to see a doctor sooner rather than later. Early diagnosis gives you a chance to start treatment when it may be most effective in slowing down the disease and to plan ahead while you're still able. The sooner you know what you're dealing with, the sooner you can take steps to manage it. What to do if you notice warning signs. So you've observed some warning signs. What are the next steps? Here's what I recommend. Talk to a doctor. Start with your primary care physician, or encourage your loved one to do so. Share the specific examples of what you've noticed. For instance, Mom has been forgetting entire conversations and got lost coming home last week. Be as detailed as possible. Doctors have brief cognitive tests they can administer right in the office, and they can refer to specialists, like a neurologist or geriatrician, for a more thorough evaluation if needed. Don't be afraid to bother the doctor. Cognitive changes are as important to discuss as any physical symptom. During the visit, it's often helpful to go along with your loved one, if you're a family member, so you can provide observations, because sometimes a person with memory loss isn't fully aware of all there. The doctor may do a physical exam, memory and thinking tests, and perhaps blood tests or brain scans to rule out other causes. Getting a professional evaluation will provide clarity. It's the first step toward knowing what you're dealing with and what can be done. Keep a symptom journal. It can be very useful to start writing down incidents of memory lapses or confusion. Note the date, what happened, and any relevant context. Time of day, what the person was doing, etc. This helps you accurately remember the frequency and details of incidents when you speak to the doctor. It may also reveal patterns. Perhaps you notice the confusion tends to worsen in the evening or during times of stress. Such information can be valuable for a physician to know. Keeping a journal can also help you feel more in control. You're actively tracking what's happening, rather than just worrying. If you're the one experiencing symptoms, journaling about your memory issues can help you articulate your concerns to your healthcare provider. Educate yourself and reach out for support. Learning about dementia will help you know what to expect and how to cope. Organizations like the Alzheimer's Association, the Mayo Clinic, the CDC, and the National Institute on Aging offer trusted information and resources. If a diagnosis is made, consider joining a support group, either for people in the early stages of dementia or for caregivers. Connecting with others who are going through similar experiences can be incredibly comforting and enlightening. You can share stories, practical tips, and emotional support. The Alzheimer's Association in the U.S. has a 24/7 helpline and local chapters that offer classes and support meetings. Remember, you are not alone on this journey. Many families are going through the same thing, and help is available. Plan for the future early. While the person is still in the mild stage, or even before a diagnosis, start discussing and organizing important matters. This includes getting legal documents in order, like a will, power of attorney, and advance healthcare directives, arranging finances, and deciding on future care preferences or living arrangements. It might feel premature, but doing this early ensures the person's wishes are known and can prevent future crises. Also consider making small safety modifications at home. For example, using medication organizers with alarms or removing tripping hazards to help them live safely as memory issues progress. Adopt brain-healthy habits. Take care of the brain by taking care of the body. A balanced diet, plenty of vegetables, fruits, lean proteins, healthy fats, and regular physical exercise support overall brain health. Staying mentally active is also beneficial. Activities like puzzles, reading, or learning a new skill help keep the mind sharp. Just as important is maintaining social engagement and a regular daily routine. Research suggests that sticking to consistent daily patterns, waking up, eating, and engaging in activities at the same times each day, is linked to better mood and cognitive function in older. A routine provides structure and may reduce confusion or anxiety. And staying socially connected, even just chatting with a friend or spending time with family, can boost mood and stimulate memory. Build a support network. If you are a caregiver or family member, don't try to do everything alone. Caring for someone with dementia is challenging, especially as the condition progresses. Reach out to other relatives, friends, or community resources for help. Let trusted neighbors know about the situation so they can gently look out for your loved one. Investigate what services are available in your area: adult day programs, in-home respite care, meal delivery, transportation services, etc. Having a network and a plan will help you manage stress and prevent burnout. Remember to take care of yourself as well. Caregivers need support and breaks. Connecting with a caregiver support group, either locally or online, can give you a safe space to vent, share, and learn. Finally, a gentle reminder. Approach these challenges with empathy and patience, both for your loved one and for yourself. It's normal to feel sadness, frustration, or fear as you navigate this journey, but by noticing the signs early and taking action, you're doing something positive and empowering. In summary, don't ignore those subtle warning signs. If your gut tells you something isn't right with your memory or a family member's, trust that feeling and seek advice. Starting the conversation and getting a medical evaluation is a courageous first step that can lead to proper care and support. And remember, an early dementia diagnosis does not mean life stops. There are still many moments of joy, love, and meaning ahead. By being proactive, you can access treatments that may slow the progression, make important plans, and focus on living the best life possible. Instead of being overwhelmed by fear of the unknown, you'll be facing the future with knowledge and a plan, and that makes all the difference.